Let's face it, wherever there's good guys, there's always going to be some amazing baddies. Welcome to another edition of The Game Changer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm indeed Nate the Effing Great, joined here, as always, by the lovely VicTori Belle. Welcome back again.
Yeah, hi, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
So, once again, guys, we are going back to the DC realm. And we talked about the superheroes last week, and we figured, let's give the baddies a little bit of, credit where credit is due. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite villains. So this was, in all honesty, oh man. As soon as I mentioned this list, I'm thinking, this will probably be easy. There's a lot of people to choose from. And then I was just like, this is not easy. There's a lot of people to choose from. I mean, you got the DC Encyclopedia book, so you probably got more a variety where it's just like, oh, this one's good. Oh man, this one's good too. Oh, geez, that was even. Oh man, this one's probably my favorite. So the internet probably gives only so much, but you got like a whole plethora of like selections.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the internet has more than this book, but yes, I enjoyed having a book that gives me a nice, concise version and a little information on everybody who I know and who I can look up. I mean, it is an encyclopedia, so if you don't know the name, you're not going to find it.
That is true. And we also found out that it's not exactly the most, not the best encyclopedia, because I think you mentioned last week that there were a couple spots where it was just like they went from a weird one letter to a different letter, but not consistently alphabetical.
Yes. I found a mistake in the DC Encyclopedia, and we're making it public now. Everyone, be careful.
All right. So, you want to start off with this list, or do you want me to start off?
You can start.
All right. So, starting off with the list for me is going to be from the Batman universe, the Scarecrow. Now, of course, when you think of Scarecrow, it's not always one of the more, very, bone-chilling or very, scary villains. But one of the main prime examples I've seen was the Scarecrow version that they did in Batman Begins. And in all honesty, the way that this guy just finds a way to just feed off of other people's fears, and he just makes it almost orgasmic to him. He's just enjoying it. It's just one of those things where it's like, this guy is basically almost like a modern-day Freddy Krueger, and he basically, of course, he dresses up almost like a scarecrow, minus the hay, but just seeing how he just is this mastermind of just creating this deal where he's saying, like, this is what you fear, well, I'm going to bring it to life, and it's like, oh, boy, that's like the worst thing that you could possibly do is, is basically, exposing somebody of their fear and using it against them, because now the person either has two options. Either A, they can be more afraid of it, or B, they're going to have to, man up or woman up and face their fears. So, in a way, he actually does provide a very strong presence in the Batman universe, in my opinion. But in all honesty, again, just my manipulation, man, it's a crazy thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a formidable opponent for Batman. I mean, Batman kind of tries to use his fears to power him, and then having to deal with that, maybe not being officially ready to face your fears. And that's definitely a psychedelic thing. I feel like a lot of Batman's opponents were very about using your mind against you and stuff. So, I mean, for us humans here, that would be pretty influential.
Well, and also the thing that I forgot to mention is that he also worked with Arkham Asylum, so he has all this access to some of the most deadliest criminals, and the fact that he can definitely take those criminals and basically turn them into a bunch of crybabies. That says a lot, in all honesty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So who have you got first?
I'm gonna go with my first pick as Brainiac. So Brainiac was first seen probably in Superman. Let's see, I can get to him. But he was first seen in Superman. He's mainly known for being a Superman villain. He came out in 1958 in Action Comics. But he has the 12th level of intellect and controls multiple bodies and controls technology and destroys worlds by basically trying to become the world and control everything on the world. So Brainiac, he was recently featured in the new Injustice 2, just showing him taking over all the different worlds that Injustice creates. World 2, World 3, and it's just Brainiac still winning. And he can basically control people's minds and take over, the really, really powerful superheroes, take over all of our technology. Any planet that has high levels of technology like ours, he thrives on. So he's a great villain. I hope that they bring him up in one of the new movies eventually. I don't think he's going to be seen anytime soon, but he's always a villain that gives the whole Justice League a run for their money, and he's just a single entity that makes himself multiple.
Jeez Louise, yeah. I mean, again, brain manipulation, one of the most powerful things. So, does he have more of a effects on weak-minded people, or does it not matter how high their IQ level is?
It doesn't matter. He tries to collect a lot of things. He's mainly Superman's villain, and I lean kind of towards Superman villains when I think of the best villains, just because to fight Superman you have to be able to defeat Superman in some sense of the form. They always enjoy the pull against good and evil, and having a supervillain being able to beat Superman in any form is really remarkable for the DC universe. So he has, gone up against Superman's mind, and Superman is very intelligent. So, yes.
Man. And, that's right, yeah. I think that was that alternate ending for Injustice 2, where basically Superman takes over Brainiac's technology and he just controls everybody, basically.
I think so, yeah. I'm not for sure. I haven't seen the end of Injustice 2, but...
Well, I apologize for spoiling for you.
See it. No, you're fine. I'll eventually want to play it again and do that, but no, yeah, Brainiac is always someone who, kind of strikes fear in, I believe, and anyone who does the comics, they're like, oh no, if Brainiac's coming, this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be good.
I'm looking forward to that fight when we do see Brainiac brought into the DC universe, especially movie universe. And it'll be interesting to see who they have play him. So going from that to my next pick, we talk a lot about brain manipulation. This next guy, he kind of goes in the same realm, but he more does it because he loves to just play games. He likes to just make people guess and really try to have everybody, just go above and beyond, basically just say, hey, you think you can know me, but you're going to have to swallow this. And I'm, of course, talking about the Riddler. Best case example, in my opinion, was indeed the Jim Carrey version in Batman Forever. Just how he plays this major psychopath, very intelligent when it comes to technology, but he's also intelligent when it comes to coming up with all of these random riddles where he basically is making people think. And I think that what was one of the brilliant things about the Batman Forever deal was that he kept sending Bruce Wayne so many different riddles that they all tied in together. And, the name of Enigma, which is, of course, basically Riddler's secret identity, Edward Nygma, which means mystery. He's one of those guys who really enjoys the mystery. He always loves asking questions. He always loves just making people think, like I said, and just really just screwing with everybody. So if you want one of those villains that's definitely going to be a little bit of the annoying side, but also one of those guys where it's just like, he makes you think, definitely look at the Riddler. He's one of those people that really does stand out as one of the, I don't know if I would say top villains for Batman, but he's definitely one of the more intelligent when it comes to the Batman villains.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their picks. I'm not that fond of Riddler, but again, as I said, I picked my guys from a kind of a different level of DC. I noticed in yours it's like Batman, and I feel like you really like Batman, so that would be understandable of why you pick Riddler, because he's a fun villain in the Batman universe. He's very fun, not very great and good, but fun.
I mean, I would have probably picked Ares from Wonder Woman, but I didn't really have a full understanding of who he was, whether he was like the god. Oh, he is the god of war, so.
Yeah.
Ares is my honorable mention. I'm just going to say that right now. I
have honorable mentions too, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I thought he did an amazing job. But yeah, I think that one thing that you'll definitely notice with my picks is that it's not really more, superpower related. It's more, I think, just the psychological advantage that all these villains have that really fascinates me the most about them.
Yeah. They definitely like to play mind games, and the Riddler likes to do that. The Riddler likes to just throw riddles out.
he likes to play games, and he also likes to be a major dick about it. that was one of the major things that
I did like Jim Carrey as the Riddler in the one. It was pretty funny, and I love how he had to wear the full suit of the question marks. That's hilarious.
I loved the scene where he's basically just trying to figure out what his persona should be. He just comes up with puzzler, gamester, Captain Kill, question mark man, and then finally he just looks over at the guy in the green suit, as you mentioned. It's just like, thank you so much. I'm like, this is a guy who doesn't really get out that much, is it? No, not really. Huh. Still okay with it. Still one of the more entertaining villains I've probably seen in quite a while.
He is funny. He is fun. Makes us laugh.
He makes us laugh, but that's not always a good thing, because then he'll always get the last laugh in the end.
Maybe, possibly.
Okay, 50-50. He'll get the last laugh in the end.
And he will end up at Arkham, I know that. He likes to go there.
Right.
When Batman sends everybody to Arkham, and then they break out, I guess. So worth it. It's worth his time to continuously send those guys back to Arkham.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, my next pick would be Black Adam. Black Adam debuted in the Marvel family in 1945. And no, this is not a Marvel superhero, but Mr. Marvel and Captain Marvel are also in the DC world too. Oh, crazy. But yeah, so he basically has the powers of an old, ancient, like Egyptian god of magic and wisdom and he enjoys. He really enjoys himself, and he's immortal. He's super speedy. He has a bunch of pride, and it really, really, really pisses him off that Shazam, aka this little boy who turns into a giant superhero, who also has the power of God. Literally, he's like 10 years old, and he Shazams into a guy the size of, Superman. He really gets pissed off that a child has the same exact powers of him and can beat him sometimes. So he's a really formidable opponent. Like I said, super speed, strength, endurance, fight, flying, has magical powers, can summon electricity, kind of like the Zeus electricity type of thing. Heals. Always, puts up a really good fight. Very annoying for the Justice League at all times. But for the most part, it's him and Shazam that really go head to head. And again, just when a villain has as much pride as like a Lex Luthor and a Black Adam and all these guys who, think they are the bee's knees, and then this tiny little 10-year-old comes and defeats him. It just gives you a little bit of irony in it. It's just kind of great. But he always gives up a pretty good fight to everybody. he's going to be part of the Injustice League. Da-da-da. I don't know. I don't know if that means that he's going to be in the next movie, because he's gathering his people. If you watch the end of Justice League, he's like, "Ooh, let's make our own league." Da-da-da. And Black Adam's part of it, but we haven't gotten really a taste to see who else is going to be in the Justice League. And if they don't have Shazam, it would be really weird to have Black Adam, because they kind of form at the same time. They have the power of an ancient god and everything like that.
Right. And I know that they've been heavily rumoring, a Black Adam movie definitely coming out, and Black Adam being played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which, as soon as...
Crazy.
I think, after everything that you basically explained what, Black Adam is, I can literally look at that and just think to myself, yeah, that does describe Dwayne to a T there. I think he'd be the perfect role for that one.
I don't know. This guy's kind of a dick. He's a dick. It could be possibly a little humorous, but whenever you see The Rock in a movie, you kind of know that it's going to be a little I just watched Jumanji, so the smolder and then the humor in that. So it's I don't know if I think they could have someone a little better. I would rather have The Rock be some sort of actual good guy. And if he was the grown form of the little kid, that would be hilarious. If he was Shazam, that would be freaking hilarious. Because that's literally a 10-year-old in his body. So he would have to act like kind of a 10-year-old. Have you ever seen any of the cartoon version? I think possibly Justice League War has Shazam in it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but when you see the Justice League cartoon movies with Shazam in it, it just adds that little comedy that you really want. He's like, oh boy, this is great. And all the Justice League are looking at him like, come on, dude. Come on, calm down. What is your issue? Because he's a 30-year-old man, but he's really a 10-year-old. It adds that comedy that you kind of want. And you'd be like everybody feels like they're too cool for this, and then he's just not, because he's a child.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what DC decides to pull out there. And actually, one of the things you definitely hit on was the DC Comics Justice League Wars and everything like that. This is kind of getting a little off topic, but we'll definitely call back into this. I actually didn't know that there were actually comic books where they showed a lot of superheroes actually doing major crossovers. I think they showed one with I think it was either Marvel or DC. Crossing over with Transformers and with Godzilla and all these other random deals. Do we want to shudder to think about the idea of them actually going that route and actually combining some of these major franchise films into crossovers, or do you think that's too much of a risk?
I could see it being really cool. I think it all depends on who owns what. I know that King Kong and Godzilla are going to be crossing over into each other's worlds. I'm pretty sure that's already in the works. The new King Kong, where the ape is huge, he's ginormous. He's supposed to be involved in Godzilla somehow. They're gonna fight or something. Who knows?
Right,
Giant monster fights. That's what everybody wants. But I don't know. I really don't know if I would want superheroes to be in there. But who knows? I know Pacific Rim, is now going into the giant monster fights, and Transformers would totally be in on the giant monster fights, and I can feel all of that could be their own, giant monster fights over there. Little superheroes with really cool powers over here. I just don't understand. It would kind of rock the worlds of the giant monsters if they had superheroes because, like, why would they make these giant robots to fight them? Or why would they, you know, like, have all these armies? They would just be like, oh, hang on, time out, everybody. Superman. Yeah, Superman. Yeah, can you just pick him up, throw him into outer space? All right, thank you. All right, Superman's coming, guys. Let's go home. So it's like, it would just be too easy because it's a giant monster. Like, it doesn't compare to these superheroes. Like, they would dominate a giant monster. So I think it would be cool, but I like Godzilla. I don't want to see Godzilla thrown in outer space.
I'm sorry, I've been laughing ever since you did that. I really want you to be in that movie if they actually have somebody picked out for that role, where he just calls Superman and just like, yeah, can you just throw him out of space here? Okay, thank you very much. What? Dinner at 7? Got it. just one of those things where I could just...
Yes, I would be the sergeant, the basically highest position of the military, and then I would also be going on a date with Superman. That would be great. There we go. Movie done. Fine,
Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, eat your heart out.
That's good. Yeah, like, I might not have got the Wonder Woman role, but I'm Sergeant Fancy.
Jesus. Oh, man. So, getting back on topic, although that is one of those things now.
That sounds like a fun show within itself.
Oh, God,
Crossing over. We should do it. We should do crossover shows. The best, most entertaining crossover shows.
Oh, I'm totally down for that. We'll definitely have to do that.
We are allowed to make up our own.
Right. Right. Definitely. We'll definitely have to do that for a future episode. So, getting back to our list, next pick that I have so far, I chose Scarecrow and Riddler. Now going into a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, feminine touch, in which the next pick for myself is going to be Poison Ivy. Now, of course, there's a lot of guys that are probably listening to this is like, oh, she was probably going to show up like sooner or later. It's like, can you really blame me, really? It's just one of those things where, you know, I like that she's basically, you know, in tune with the Earth, which is, you know, a major bonus. And, of course, the crossovers that she could do with, you know, Swamp Thing, as well as some other characters. But also just the fact that she can also still be a very psychologically, you know, superior woman where she knows what her powers are capable of. I remember watching, what was it? The Batman and Harley Quinn cartoon that came out like a few months ago. And as soon as I saw, you know, her kissing, I think one of the scientists, I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, he's dead. And it's like, wait, what? He's not. But Batman and Robin made it seem like her kiss was only for, like, killing people. And then I had to look up online, and it's like, oh, so she can also... Okay, so she can also use pheromones to basically seduce and control. Okay, she's definitely on my list. Oh man, that's like one of the most cruel things, because any guy can probably say that they've, you know, resisted the power of an attractive woman. But I think the Poison Ivy would definitely be one of those scenarios where it's like, yeah, good luck with that. I mean, unless you somehow are allergic to, you know, specific pheromones that Poison Ivy has, you know, you're basically screwed. But, yeah, I just think that, you know, she tries to be sexy, but she can also be very ferocious. She's smart, but she can also have a bit of a soft side to her. I really enjoy it. I'm really kind of surprised. This is one of those things that I was heavily debating last year. It's like, why have we not gotten a reboot of Poison Ivy? They've done it so much with video games, whether it's Arkham Asylum, whether it's the Injustice 2, Justice 1. Just, it's like, why have we not gotten Poison Ivy back? Did Uma Thurman do a really bad job? Did she really create that big of a hole where it's just like, yeah, we're not going down this path anymore? It's like, no, look at the video games. They make her look awesome. Why is she not in the universe right now? That's just my opinion, but I don't know. I think that you actually had a debate about this being on the pick of like my top 5.
Oh no, I love Poison Ivy. I actually would have probably picked her if you didn't. I like Poison Ivy a lot. she's very forthcoming with the fact that I'm going to use my hotness against you, and it's not going to help you. It's not. I'm just going to use my body and my sexuality to make sure guys lose. And it's really funny. It's funny. And it also, I mean, she embraces that fact that that's what she's doing. Like, that's her villainous. Like, she likes that. And she's gay, so, like, she doesn't like guys, so it's even kind of more ironic. Like, I'm gonna kill guys and just, ruin their lives, but I'm just gonna go back to my hubby Harley or whoever I'm dating at the time. And I think it's funny. I like her as a villain. I think she's a very formidable Batman opponent, and she's been showing up in other things that she's shown that she can, she can face bigger guns than Batman, which is great. But she just doesn't have great combat within herself. Like, she uses her abilities really well, and her abilities are cool. Like, as you said, like, she can control some plant life and pheromones and, make people die by having pollen in the air and stuff, which is really hard. And her and Swamp Thing definitely sometimes get into, like, this, like, what are you doing? She's like, wait, I really like the Earth, though. Yeah, well, you're killing things, though. You're using the plant life. You're manipulating the plant life. I don't like it. And she's like, sorry.
I was going to say, that is literally that is literally this, basically, like, word for word, the scene in Batman and Harley where basically Swamp Thing just comes out of nowhere and is like, you're basically destroying everything. Stop it. And she's like, what? I thought you'd be supporting me. No, I don't. And he just leaves. It's like, wow.
I have not seen that, I promise. But yes, I could see that happening. That's funny. That's really funny. I have not seen that. But yeah, no, I think Poison Ivy is a really powerful female, and if she wasn't like a human, she probably would be way more powerful, and that's probably the only reason why, like, she doesn't get more. I think Uma Thurman did pretty good as her. It was kind of interesting. Like, she was pretty crazy, neurotic. I liked it. but you're right. I don't know why they haven't done. Like, don't they have, like, Gotham and stuff? I feel like she's not even in that.
They've highlighted, like, so many other villains. I think they've done it with Joker, especially in Gotham, but there's not been any, like, reports of, Poison Ivy being involved in there or having some kind of involvement. I can definitely kind of look it up and see.
Yeah, you should see, because that's really odd then, yeah. Because I feel like Poison Ivy is kind of a big deal. But, I don't know if Harley Quinn has been thrown in any of those either. So,
right.
Which would, I guess, kind of explain, like, maybe they don't want to put some of their top females into their just, like, CW shows. I know a lot of people love these CW shows, and I've heard great things, like, about all of them. I personally haven't partook in any of them, which is weird. Like, people are like, how do you like DC and you're not watching these? I don't know. I don't necessarily enjoy shows because I'm not, like, they're not really following the main universe. Like, they're kind of doing their own thing. Like, once they showed that Barry Allen was going to be a different guy, you're kind of like, wait a second. Didn't they just put a lot of money in this Flash show that's doing pretty well? Then they're not going to hire the same actor to be the Flash in the movie? Oh, so the shows are different from the movies. Great.
Okay. Look, I'm actually looking at a couple of the articles, and I think I can see why she's not exactly getting that much love. She is actually in the Gotham series. I think she's more in the season 3, season 4 part of the series, but it mentions that I guess she's gotten recasted a couple times, which now it's just like, oh, maybe that's why she's not getting any love, because she's been recasted so many times. But then again, it's Gotham, so their series is not exactly as exact as the, DC movie universe, Gotham.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. Like, people really like that. Like, people love Gotham. They love Arrow. They love Flash. I love Smallville. I did watch Smallville. But they just, you just have to, like, disconnect. Like, okay, this is now a TV series. And I know, I'm almost for sure Arrow, Flash, and Heroes of Tomorrow. Is that it? The DC Heroes of Tomorrow? I feel like those three actually intertwine. They intertwine, and I know they have all, like, they all come together, and that's cool. That's really cool. But other than that, like, they don't really share the world of DC, so it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, I want to watch that, and then it's like, oh, but the movies are going a totally different direction, so I don't know. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to follow.
Right. I'll do a little bit of, like, research, seeing, how she's, how she's basically being represented in the Gotham TV series, and then we'll discuss it a little bit, in the next week's show. But, we still got time. We still got time, and maybe she's represented well, but maybe, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I guess this is why we're not getting her in the movie universe. Sad.
I don't think the movies care about the shows. So I don't think it would... Yeah, because that's kind of what I was saying. Like, they don't follow the same timeline, so...
Right. Well, yeah, fair enough.
Okay. They don't matter. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So why do I want to watch them anymore? But a lot of people have already invested so much that these shows are still continuing, and that's great. I think they've done a really good job. So I just personally haven't partook.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I guess it's my turn.
Yep. It is.
You're back on track. My next pick has to be, and I hope people don't hate me because he was in a bad movie, but is Doomsday. Doomsday was first featured in Superman Man of Steel, 1992. And he is the guy who kills Superman. Yay! The first time Superman dies, Doomsday is the person. He's the, I guess not really a person, but he's the monster that makes it occur and makes the whole, like, shake of the DC universe when Superman dies. They're like, oh my gosh, they killed Superman, no! And then that led to, like Steel and Superboy and a few other supers to emerge into the realm of DC, and they all failed somehow, and then finally it's like, ooh, we should bring Superman back. And then they're like, yeah, let's do that. And then, like, I don't even know if it was a year. I think it might have been like a few months, and then Superman was back. So yay!
Right.
But that's kind of Marvel does the same thing. They like to be like, oh my gosh, our heroes are dead, and then people are like,
really.
What? It's like, okay, no kidding. You guys are upset, so we'll bring them back. And they're like, okay, good, thank goodness. But yeah, so that's kind of why Doomsday. Obviously, Doomsday was featured in Batman vs. Superman. I think a lot of people were a little upset about that, with like, wait a second, we haven't even really gotten to know anything, and all of a sudden Doomsday is here. Like I guess this Superman has been around a while, I guess. Because when you see Doomsday, you kind of get a tease of like, oh man, Superman's gonna die. And it just seemed like a little rushed, and I think that's why a lot of people didn't like that. But in general, I mean, Doomsday does kill Superman, so he's a very formidable opponent. Everybody struggles against him. Luckily, he was built from a Kryptonian, so he does have the weakness that Superman has, so they're able to kill him, but he regenerates, he's invulnerable, he can teleport, and he has toxic, like, stuff coming out of him because he's just this creature that they built. So I know in the Batman vs. Superman, like Lex Luthor was, the mind behind that, and they used General Zod's old body and made him crazy and vulnerable. But in general, all the supers have an issue with this guy. So when you see him in different forms, he's really, really badass. And it's always kind of like, it's going to be a good fight when you see Doomsday. So I like it.
Yeah, I mean, arguably it was a pretty good fight in Batman vs. Superman. And maybe this was one of the arguments that a lot of people had, was that with Batman vs. Superman, I think they had a feeling that the cast itself was going to be pretty crowded. I mean, there have been a lot of other movies where they've actually done that. But when you have all the superheroes, come together and they're basically, flowing together, they're basically serving the same purpose, that's fine. But I think, with Lex Luthor, he was kind of going a different direction. And then they it's like, hey, here's Doomsday. Everybody rejoice. And it's just kind of like, wait, like you said, it's like, wait, what about this? I thought, so we're going to have, like, basically two different deals going on here? Really? Yeah, isn't it awesome? No, not really. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, if they would have had, like, one focus, like they said, then it would have made for probably a better movie. But they just decided, like you said, just like, oh, hey, we're focusing so much on here, but you know what? We need more star power. Here's Doomsday. Let's just, wrap him in a bow, give him to the fans, give them something just to be, that they think will be happy. And then it's just like, he doesn't even live that long. He lives probably like for, what was it, like a 10, 15-minute battle, really?
Right. And in general, I don't even know how long that was in their timeline, but there's just so many different rebirths of Doomsday, too, that people are just kind of confused about that one. Like depending on what storyline. That's the hardest part about comic books, though, and comic book movies, is that there's so many reboots. And that's when, if you watch, origin stories on YouTube or anything, they're like, we're following the origin of this section, so please don't hate us if you have a different origin story of the superhero or supervillain. And, Doomsday has so many different, obviously making him from Zod is what they decided to choose, because they had Zod's body, and it made sense, cool, I get that, that's interesting that they chose that, but some origins of Doomsday, they have no idea how he was formed. He just is a monster that travels around trying to kill Kryptonians, and he's, sometimes he's part of the whole Kryptonian demise, how their planet, got destroyed, he was part of it, and he does battle General Zod in some things, so it's wait, how is the General Zod? But, again, it's I'm not gonna...
Oh, hold on. I think we might have had a little bit of an issue here in which Skype is just freezing up right now, but just give it a minute. Oh, God help me. I love technology. So, while she's unfreezing right now, I guess I'll go into the next pick here for myself. Going into Catwoman and Harley Quinn. See here, checklist here. Associated with dark characters, check. Crazy at times, check. Majorly hot, double check. So, yeah, with Harley Quinn and Catwoman, it's kind of a very interesting deal between the two of them, because it seems like they're both the same, but a little bit different in a lot of ways. I don't know. It's very unique when it comes to the two of them. I'm trying to get VicTori Belle back online right now. So if nope, we'll come back to that. So with Harley Quinn and Catwoman, like I said, they're two definitely different personas. But they both just seem to be a little bit more alike than a lot of people really give credit for. Starting off with, Catwoman. It's really bizarre, to say the least. Because the two of them, and again, I'm trying to see what's going on here. God help me, I love technology. So, with I guess with Harley Quinn and with I guess with Catwoman, she is definitely one of those people that's I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted by the whole deal here. Let me just send this text message quick. Just right online. Okay, so again, love technology. So with Harley Quinn and with Catwoman, like I said, Catwoman definitely uses her sexual side, but she also is one of those women who's just like, you know, you can look, but you can't really touch. Definitely love that, and I think the representation that Michelle Pfeiffer did in Batman Returns was absolutely amazing. I loved the chemistry that Bruce Wayne and Catwoman had between the two of them, but I loved the combat that she definitely delivered. It was absolutely amazing. With Harley Quinn, we've only gotten to see one glimpse of her, and that was, of course, during Suicide Squad, but she's also been a part of a lot of other different deals, such as the Batman and Harley Quinn, as I mentioned before. With her backstory, Catwoman, you know, she was one of those people that just was abused quite a bit, and then she basically used that to embrace a lot of rage and a lot of, I don't know if I would say hatred for a lot of men, but she really just used that to really motivate her to be something different, to not be this helpless woman. So she was very, very strong, very independent, I guess you could say. With Harley Quinn, she started off as basically a psychiatric, you know, therapist. She got really interested in the Joker, and after that, you know, the rest is kind of history. She found herself, you know, falling for the Joker. She found herself wanting to do anything for the Joker, and then we see the, you know, chemical deal where she's thrown by the Joker into it, and then we see her basically still being this woman who is absolutely, you know, infatuated with her. She's one of those women who just is just like, you know, I love my pudding, I love my pudding, I love my pudding. It's really, really a unique and bizarre relationship between the two of them. But she also finds a way to finally realize, you know, hey, I'm not going to be this victim. I am not going to be this, you know, pushover anymore. And she uses that, of course, to quote-unquote kill the Joker. It's, again, one of those stories that's very interesting and really creates for a very unique villain. So, yep, I'm still trying to get a hold of my co-host here. So, I'm going to keep going here. The number one for me was indeed the Joker. Joker is a cut above the rest when it comes to what you can expect from a villain. He's psychotic, he's insane, he's loving every single bit about it, and it's just one of those things where it's just very unique, and he's one of those villains that is going to be. Hold on, I think we might have her back. So, yep, nope. So basically, with the Joker, we have somebody who just really loves to see, you know, chaos and destruction and everything just come into fruition. It's like he wants to see the world just fold up like a book. It's just, God help me, it's just absolutely insane. But, wait, hold on. Thank you. There we go.
Is it working?
Yep. It's working now. Let me get my camera back on. There we are.
Awesome.
Gotta love technology. Yeah. So for those that are curious of what basically happened, technology reasons, and for some reason, Skype has just been really acting weird. I don't know why. I've been having the same problem with my friend Max too, so this is one of those things where it's like, what's going on? But finishing off my thought that I was saying to you guys, Joker is indeed one of the best villains that Batman has to offer, and just don't cross paths with him, because anytime you hear the phrase, why so serious, or the cackling laugh that he does, whether he's, the Jack Nicholson one, or the, Heath Ledger one, or Jared Leto, definitely one of those things where it's like, oh boy, probably in trouble right now. But while you were gone, I did definitely mention the other two picks I had. One being Joker, and the other being the tie between Catwoman and Harley Quinn. So, yeah, the floor is all yours right now on your final two.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we could just wrap this up. It kind of sucks that we're down. But, my final two, I had an issue with, I really did want to pick a woman, but I couldn't really find one that I really, really liked to battle, and felt like she was powerful enough. But I found Enchantress, interesting. She's one of those that is, really magical and basically, has the power of a god, too. So I enjoyed Enchantress. I thought I didn't really like her in Suicide Squad. I thought that she could have definitely destroyed everyone, and I don't know why it didn't happen, and I thought it was hilarious. Harley Quinn beat her. But whatever. Fan service exists, and I think that's what Suicide Squad basically was trying to be fan service, and they kind of
existed,
got it wrong.
Yeah.
But, and then my last but not least pick would be Darkseid, and I mean, Darkseid is just, he's the Thanos of the DC. So people know Marvel and they know who Thanos is. Darkseid is basically what Thanos is. I'm pretty sure he probably came before Thanos, because DC usually does go before Marvel, and this warlord, super crazy alien dude that likes to take over planets and take over everybody, kidnap superheroes, make them his bitch and stuff like that. That's what he likes to do. And, I kind of talked a little bit about him last episode when I talked about Big Barda, how she's an incredible, strong woman who, was kidnapped by Darkseid and made to be his slave and worker and gladiator fighter and stuff like that. So Darkseid's, he's a bad guy, and they've already hinted at him, and Steppenwolf, one of the, the big bad guy for the Justice League initial movie that he gave, the Justice League a run for their money. He's a lackey of Darkseid that people don't even know. So when you see a guy like that kind of give the Justice League some issues, you just have to imagine what Darkseid would actually do. He would be too intense. And I'm super glad that they didn't show him. They just talked about him. The Hail Darkseid happened a few times. And Darkseid will be back. And I'm excited to see what they do with him and who they cast as him. But he's always one of those just imposing characters that you kind of like, even though he's such a dick. You're just kind of this guy, I enjoy seeing him on the screen. I enjoy seeing him battle these superheroes, because they're just getting pwned. But yeah, so that would be my last pick. And my honorable mentions, I have to do it. Obviously, again, I'm going to do a throwback to the Big Barda episode. I have Granny Goodness, just because she's an old granny who's, this crazy fighter and stuff. I love that. Love Granny Goodness. Another lackey of Darkseid. Lex Luthor has to be one of my picks. I feel like he's more on the lines of your picks, Nate, but with the mind games and using his power and his influence to, own Superman and own people who are way more powerful than him. So it's just really, it's cool to watch what Lex Luthor does and how he can manipulate the world by just having power. And power as in, money and status and political agendas and stuff. So it's interesting. It's interesting how they tie him into the world, because he could really be a thing. Like, he could really be a person in real life. And then the last but not least is Black Manta. Just because I enjoy Black Manta. He's the one who looks like the ray fish. Like, he has this helmet to make him look like a stingray type of fish.
Yeah.
He's Aquaman's main villain, and just the evil guy from Atlantis that wants to take over the world and be a part of the Injustice League, so we'll probably see him in the next movie. So it'll be fun. Or probably see him in the Aquaman movie first. But yeah, I just wanted to give homage to those guys. So there we go. I'm done.
Yeah, I guess I'll do a couple of honorable mentions as well. We did mention before, Ares would definitely be one of the ones that are high up there, because I think, in all honesty, probably one of the bigger supervillains that DC has come out with. Harvey Two-Face would be another one. I mean, there's like a clash of representation on, what he's like. Tommy Lee Jones and the Harvey Dent from the Dark Knight movies. Definitely see a bigger difference between the two of them. Like, with the Tommy Lee Jones one in Batman Returns, he definitely plays actually two different characters. And I think the Harvey Dent one in The Dark Knight, it's a little more subtle. It doesn't seem very psychotic. I mean, he's still, showing the dark side, but he's just one of those guys who you look at and it just seems like, it just seems like he's just having a bad day, where he can just have these random mood swings every now and then. I'm not saying that's like it's a bad thing, but it's just one of those things where it's a lot more subtle, a lot more less exaggerated than the Tommy Lee Jones one. I think other than that, I think those were the only two honorable mentions I had in there. I thought I had a third one, but now I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so another good episode of, talking about baddies and villains, and also talking about how amazing technology can be, especially when you're trying to do a podcast. So, just about to wrap up this episode. I talked about it last night. There's going to be a crazy weekend for us here at the Game Changer. Royal Rumble weekend, a lot of stuff going on. But, VicTori Belle, do you have anything major going on in the near future, whether it's this weekend, next weekend, or month even?
This is the weekend for the charity event, the Magic the Gathering charity event, and for the Forest City Comic-Con tournament. I said Comic-Con, it's not a Comic-Con. It is in Rockford at the Rockford Top Cut Comic Store, and I believe it starts around noon. I will probably be there by 10, and I'll be repping my pirate, vampire, conquistador costume. Kind of doing a homage to Exelon, the new Magic the Gathering universe. And then the next few weekends, I actually have Comic-Cons already. I'm going to be at Cedar Rapids, and I'm going to be at LodgeCon. So, Comic-Cons are already coming in February. But I'm not going to be showing up at a lot of cons this year, but I just happen to have 2 in a row. So
it just conveniently worked in that favor.
Yes.
All right, so guys, again, if you want to check out a lot of VicTori Belle stuff, go ahead, check her out on Facebook.com/VictoriBelleCosplay, which is also her Instagram. Follow her on Twitter at VictoryClark04, myself at RealFNGame, and also give us a like on the Facebook fan page, Facebook.com/ChangingUpTheGame. So for VicTori Belle, I've been Nate the Effing Great. This has been the Game Changer, and we will talk to you guys next week for another fun-filled episode. Bye-bye.